For centuries, the Galactic Council had watched humanity from a distance. The Council, made up of hundreds of powerful species, ruled the galaxy with a sense of superiority. They believed humans were primitive, just another species struggling to survive in a small corner of the universe. Most of the Council's races were ancient, their technology far beyond what Earth could even dream of. To them, humans were too chaotic, too unpredictable to be considered anything more than a curiosity. However, despite the Council's dismissal, humans were working on something incredible in secret. A group of the brightest minds from Earth had begun a project, one that would shatter everything the galaxy thought it knew about human potential. They weren't satisfied with just surviving in the stars. They wanted to dominate them. In a hidden research facility deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, a team of engineers, scientists, and dreamers worked day and night. The project they were building was known only by its codename, Eclipse. It was a starship like no other, designed to travel faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. A ship that could defy the very laws of physics. The project was born out of desperation. Earth had long been a battleground. Wars, conflicts, and environmental disasters had ravaged the planet, but humanity had endured. And in their struggle, they had learned to adapt, to push the boundaries of what was possible. Their ingenuity, creativity, and sheer determination had made them one of the most unpredictable species in the galaxy. It was this drive to overcome adversity that gave birth to Eclipse. The Starship's design was revolutionary. It didn't just rely on traditional fuel or advanced propulsion technology. It combined elements from quantum physics and dark matter, two fields that had been thought to be purely theoretical. Using a newly discovered energy source from deep within the galaxy's black holes, Eclipse was capable of achieving speeds that no one thought were possible. The ship could bend space itself, creating shortcuts that allowed it to travel vast distances in a fraction of the time it took other ships. This wasn't just faster travel. It was almost as though Eclipse could bend reality itself to its will. As the final tests were conducted, the project's leaders knew that Eclipse would change everything. If successful, the Starship would make humanity the most powerful force in the galaxy. It could travel to any corner of the universe in hours, not years. And with its speed, Earth could avoid the conflicts and dangers that had once threatened its survival. But there was still one problem. The Galactic Council would never allow such a technology to exist. The Council, which had held its power for millennia, would see humanity's new ship as a threat, perhaps even a challenge to their authority. They had always believed themselves to be the galaxy's leaders, its rulers. And now, a species they had once overlooked had the power to disrupt everything. Humanity's leaders knew this, and they feared the reaction of the Council. But they also knew that Eclipse wasn't just a starship. It was a statement. It was proof that humanity could do anything if given the chance. The ship represented everything the Council had dismissed about Earth. No longer would humans be pushed around. No longer would they be seen as small and insignificant. As the launch day of Eclipse approached, the tension was palpable. The world held its breath, unsure of what would happen next. The launch would either be the greatest success in human history or the spark that ignited a galaxy-wide conflict. There was no middle ground. On the morning of the launch, the team responsible for Eclipse stood in front of the massive hangar doors, looking at the ship they had spent years building. The Starship stood tall, its sleek, dark form gleaming under the lights. It was a sight to behold, something out of a dream, an idea once thought impossible. The crew had spent months preparing for this moment, ensuring that every system was operational, that everything was in place. As the countdown began, a wave of excitement spread across the globe. People from all walks of life gathered around screens to watch the event unfold. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With a deafening roar, Eclipse shot into the sky. It was like watching a comet streak across the heavens, but much faster. The ship accelerated at an astonishing rate, leaving the Earth's atmosphere in mere seconds. As the ship passed through the stars, something incredible happened. The ship's speed didn't just increase, it seemed to break the very laws of space and time. In a flash, Eclipse was gone, vanished from the view of the cameras that were tracking it. The humans watching were stunned. They had expected a great achievement, but what they had just witnessed was beyond their wildest dreams. Eclipse wasn't just fast, it was unlike anything they had ever imagined. It wasn't just a starship, it was the future. But across the galaxy, in the halls of the Galactic Council, something else was happening. News of Eclipse's launch spread quickly, and the council members reacted with shock and disbelief. They watched as the starship disappeared into the depths of space. They had underestimated humanity. And now they realized that they had made a grave mistake. In that moment, the future of the galaxy had been rewritten. Humanity, once dismissed as weak and insignificant, had just shown the Council and the entire galaxy that they were ready to take their place among the stars. And they had the ship to prove it. As the news of Eclipse's successful launch spread across the galaxy, the reactions were mixed. Some species, particularly those with their own advanced technology, were fascinated. They watched with awe as the starship, capable of achieving speeds previously thought impossible, disappeared into the stars. But for the majority of the Galactic Council, Eclipse's sudden appearance and unmatched speed sent waves of fear and disbelief throughout the galaxy. Humanity, once seen as a minor player, now had the power to change everything. In the council chambers, leaders from various species sat in a tense silence. For centuries, they had held dominion over the galaxy. Their technology, political structures, and military might had kept the universe in balance, with each species carefully maintaining their place in the cosmic order. But now, everything had been called into question. The humans had built something that, in their eyes, was far too powerful to be ignored. "We cannot allow this to continue," said Sarnak, the tall and imposing leader of the Andromeda, a race of hyper-intelligent beings known for their mastery of space travel. Their ships had been the fastest in the galaxy for millennia, but even they had never achieved the speeds demonstrated by Eclipse. If humans can build such a ship, they could overtake us. They could dominate the entire galaxy. The Queen of the Ancharis, a species known for their ability to manipulate energy fields, nodded. "We've watched them for years, but this is something we did not expect. Eclipse's speed could be a threat to the balance we've worked so hard to create." The debate in the council chambers raged on for hours. Some suggested forming an alliance with the humans to study the ship and learn from their technology. Others proposed harsher actions, imposing regulations on human space exploration, or even preventing them from launching any more starships. The fear was not just about the technology, it was about the unknown. Humans had proven they could achieve the impossible. What else were they capable of? While the council argued, the humans on Earth celebrated. The launch of Eclipse was a moment of triumph. The ship had far exceeded the expectations of its creators. The engineers and scientists who had worked on the project stood in awe as they received reports from the ship's test flight. The data was clear. Eclipse wasn't just fast, it was nearly beyond comprehension. It had outpaced every other ship in the galaxy by a factor of 10, and there was still room for improvement. For the first time, humanity stood at the forefront of galactic technology. The Eclipse wasn't just a ship, it was a symbol. It was proof that human innovation and determination could overcome even the most daunting challenges. They had taken on an impossible task and succeeded. And now, they were ready to take their place among the stars. But despite their success, there was a growing unease within human leadership. They had anticipated resistance from the Galactic Council, but the scale of the reaction was more intense than they had imagined. The Council's power was vast, and its influence stretched across the galaxy. Could humanity truly stand up to such a force? And if the Council did decide to take action against them, how would they respond? As the days passed, more ships were launched. The Eclipse had proven the concept, and now humanity was ready to make more of them. A fleet of vessels designed with similar technology was taking shape. Each ship would be faster, more efficient, and better equipped to handle the vast distances of space. Humanity was no longer content with simply exploring the stars. They intended to conquer them. One particular ship, Eclipse II, was scheduled for its maiden voyage. It would be the first to carry a crew of humans to the distant corners of the galaxy, marking the beginning of an era where Earth would no longer be confined to the fringes of the galactic map. It was clear now that the eclipse had given humanity something far greater than speed. It had given them hope. Hope that, despite their small beginnings, they could achieve anything. But the Council wasn't idle. They had already begun investigating the technology behind Eclipse. Their best minds were studying the ship's engines, propulsion systems, and energy sources. No one knew how the humans had achieved this breakthrough, and the Council wanted answers. If they could uncover the secrets of Eclipse, they could either control it or destroy it. At the same time, whispers began to spread through the galaxy. Some species, particularly those who had long suffered under the Council's rule, saw the potential for a new order. They began to view humanity not as a threat, but as a symbol of freedom, a beacon of possibility in a galaxy dominated by oppressive powers. These factions started to make contact with Earth, offering alliances and support in exchange for technology, protection, and guidance. They wanted to stand with humanity, to break free from the Council's rule, and to build a new future together. But as the days went on, the pressure mounted. A conflict was brewing, and humanity found itself caught in the middle. Could they unite the galaxy under their banner? Or would the weight of their success be too much to bear? The answers were still unclear, but one thing was certain. Eclipse had changed everything. The Council might be powerful, but humanity had shown they could break the rules. And in a galaxy filled with unimaginable possibilities, anything was now possible. The future of the galaxy, once dominated by the established powers, was now in humanity's hands. The race was on to see who would rise and who would fall, and humanity, with its eclipse, was ready to lead the way. The shockwaves from Eclipse's historic flight didn't just ripple through the Galactic Council. They surged across the entire galaxy. From the farthest reaches of the known universe, every sentient species had one thing on their minds. The humans had done the unthinkable. A species once seen as primitive had built the fastest starship in history, something that defied the natural order of power in the galaxy. In the heart of the Galactic Council's capital, the emergency meeting began. Leaders from each species, all with their own advanced technology and centuries of experience in space, gathered to discuss the unprecedented event. The atmosphere in the council chamber was tense, heavy with uncertainty and fear. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy's dominant powers felt threatened by an upstart species. The council was composed of representatives from a wide array of civilizations, each with its own strengths and agendas. There were the mighty Gentheri, an ancient species known for their mastery of energy manipulation, and the peaceful, yet highly intellectual Virilians, whose advanced knowledge of quantum physics made them the galaxy's leading researchers. Then there were the Haldren, a fierce warrior race who had long controlled vast territories, and the Andromed, a species so advanced in their understanding of space-time that they could manipulate gravity itself. They all sat now in a massive circular chamber, facing a single central screen that displayed the image of Eclipse, the human ship that had shattered their collective confidence. "We must address this immediately," said Celira, the queen of the Andromed. Her voice was calm, but her eyes glinted with concern. "This ship poses a threat to the entire galaxy. Humanity has shown it can push the boundaries of what is possible. If left unchecked, they could easily surpass us all." Zoran, a representative of the Gentheri, spoke next. "I agree. Their technology could destabilize everything. Imagine a fleet of these ships, capable of moving at unimaginable speeds. If humanity chooses to go to war, they could conquer entire star systems before we even knew they were there." The tension in the room grew thicker as each leader took turns speaking, their voices filled with worry and disbelief. There had been an unspoken rule in the galaxy. The balance of power was delicate. Each species had its place, and as long as they respected this balance, the galaxy had remained relatively peaceful. But now, with humanity's rise, that balance was in jeopardy. At the far end of the room, Elysia, the representative of the peaceful Virilians, raised her hand. Her soft voice cut through the growing debate. "We've seen what Eclipse can do. But perhaps this isn't a threat. Perhaps it is an opportunity. Humans have always been unpredictable, yes, but they have also proven themselves to be capable of surprising acts of cooperation and innovation. Could they not be a force for good in the galaxy, instead of a destructive one?" Her words, though softer, did little to calm the rising unease. The fear of the unknown was powerful, and in the eyes of many council members, humanity's rapid technological leap was too dangerous to ignore. The thought of allowing a species with such potential unchecked freedom was unthinkable. "We cannot risk this," Sarnak, the leader of the Andromeda, said firmly. "We must contain this. We cannot allow humanity to have such power. If we don't act now, it will grow beyond our control." But not everyone agreed. Some, like Elysia, saw the potential in humanity. The Virilians had long believed that peace was the path to the future. They had spent centuries studying the cultures of other species, seeking ways to mediate conflicts and promote cooperation. Could humanity, with its newfound power, help bring a new era of peace to the galaxy? And so, the council split. Half of the representatives called for immediate action to control humanity's advancement, imposing restrictions on their space exploration, limiting their access to certain technologies, or even dismantling the Eclipse program altogether. The other half, led by the Virilians, advocated for a more diplomatic approach, encouraging collaboration instead of conflict. While the council deliberated, humanity continued to push forward. On Earth, the engineers who had designed Eclipse worked tirelessly to perfect the technology. The ship's speed was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, but there was still room for improvement. If humanity could unlock even more secrets of spacetime, they could make the impossible possible. Their ambition, however, was not only driven by the desire for power, it was driven by a hunger for knowledge, exploration, and progress. At the same time, the rest of the galaxy watched closely. Some species, eager to understand the new human technology, sent emissaries to Earth, offering knowledge, resources, and alliances in exchange for access to Eclipse. There were whispers of a new era, one where humanity could play a leading role. But those were just whispers, drowned out by the louder, more fearful voices of the Council. The next few weeks were tense. The humans received word of the Council's plans to regulate their progress, and a quiet unease spread through the population. Would the galaxy accept them, or would they be forced into a conflict they had never sought? The humans had always been ambitious, but now that ambition seemed to be putting them at odds with the galaxy's oldest and most powerful species. As the debate in the Galactic Council grew more heated, a new challenge emerged. Some of the more rebellious factions in the galaxy, those who had long been oppressed by the Council's rule, began to reach out to humanity. These groups, led by various freedom fighters and former slaves, saw the rise of humanity as a beacon of hope, a sign that the balance of power could shift, that the old ways of the galaxy could be overthrown. Humanity, caught in the middle of this galactic tension, now had a choice. They could take the path of diplomacy, joining the Virilians and working with the other peaceful factions to reshape the galaxy's future, or they could prepare for the inevitable conflict with the Council. Whatever path they chose, it was clear that the future of the galaxy would no longer be shaped solely by the ancient powers. Humanity had proven they were ready to stand alongside, or even above them. The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy was on the edge of a new era, and humanity stood at the center of it. The successful launch of Eclipse had sparked a firestorm of debate, division, and fear across the Galactic Council. The once untouchable powers that had ruled the galaxy for centuries now found themselves facing the possibility that a species they had long underestimated could threaten their very dominance. Earth's leaders, aware of the growing tension, made a choice. They knew the Galactic Council's decision would shape the future of their people. They had always been a resourceful species, learning from their mistakes, adapting to the challenges of their world, and now they had the opportunity to shape the future of the galaxy. But how would they proceed? The diplomatic route seemed appealing, yet risky. To align themselves with the Virilians, those who saw potential in humanity, would place Earth in the midst of a delicate political struggle. Joining forces with the peaceful factions might allow humanity to influence the galaxy for the better, but the possibility of facing the Council's wrath was very real. On the other hand, aligning with the more rebellious factions could spark a war humanity might not be prepared for. But as history had shown, humans had always been willing to take risks when they believed they were in the right. The leadership of Earth gathered to discuss their next move. In a secure underground facility deep within the heart of their world, key representatives from every nation sat in a tense meeting. The President of Earth, alongside military leaders, scientists, and diplomats, debated their options. "We've already shown the galaxy our strength," President Drayden said, his voice steady but firm. "Eclipse proves we can stand on equal footing with any race, but we need to be careful. The Council will not forgive us for this. We could be forced into a war we're not prepared for." "We may not have a choice," said General Halden, a tough, pragmatic military leader. "The Council has already made it clear that they see us as a threat. The Virilians want peace, but the rest of the Council may see this as an opportunity to crush us before we grow too strong. We need to think about our defense." "I agree," said Dr. Layla Tran, one of the chief engineers who had helped design Eclipse. "But war is not the only option. We have allies who are just as ready for change as we are. We've received signals from several star systems asking for our help. They want to break free from the Council's control, and they believe that we could lead the way." President Drayden rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "If we unite with those factions, we might be able to create a strong enough coalition to challenge the Council. But we must be cautious. The risks are high." As the debate continued, the Council's response grew increasingly urgent. They had issued an official warning to humanity, demanding that they stop their research and halt all future Starship launches. The message was clear. Humanity's rapid technological progress had shaken the foundation of the galaxy, and the Council would not allow such a disruption to go unchecked. While some members of the Council argued for diplomacy, the majority were insistent on taking more drastic action. Sarnak, the leader of the Andromeda, once again spoke up. "We cannot ignore this threat. Humanity's rise could destabilize the entire galaxy. They cannot be allowed to have this kind of power. If we don't take action now, they will be beyond our control." "I disagree," said Elysia, the Virilian representative. "Humanity has already demonstrated that they are capable of more than we gave them credit for. They are not our enemies. They may be the key to unlocking a new future for all of us. We must not treat them like a threat without understanding their intentions." Sarnak's face tightened. "Their intentions are irrelevant. The fact remains that they now possess technology that no other species can match. We cannot afford to wait and see what they do next. We must act decisively." The room was filled with murmurs of agreement and disagreement. The debate was spiraling into an impasse, with no clear solution in sight. As the discussions grew more heated, a new message arrived from Earth, interrupting the proceedings. It was from President Drayden himself. "We've made our decision," the message began. "We are not afraid of the Council. We will not stand by and let fear dictate our future. Eclipse represents more than just a technological breakthrough. It represents our determination to lead, to explore, and to stand on equal ground with the rest of the galaxy. We are open to negotiation, but we will not be bullied." The message sent shockwaves through the Council. This was the first time that a species had openly defied the will of the galactic leaders. It was a bold statement, one that could either ignite a conflict or change the course of galactic history. In the days that followed, humanity's response set off a wave of reactions across the galaxy. Some species, particularly the more oppressed factions, saw President Drayden's message as a call to arms. They reached out to humanity, offering their support in exchange for technology and military assistance. The idea of uniting against the Council, of standing together for a new future, was beginning to take root. But not all were in favor of this new alliance. The Council's supporters, those who held the reins of power, viewed humanity's defiance as a declaration of war. The balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift, and neither side was willing to back down. As tensions mounted, Eclipse II prepared for its first full-scale mission. The ship, even more advanced than the original Eclipse, was set to carry a crew of Earth's finest pilots and scientists into uncharted space. The crew was ready to make history, but they also knew the weight of their mission. If successful, Eclipse I would cement humanity's place as a dominant force in the galaxy, but it would also make the coming conflict inevitable. The galaxy had never been more divided. On one side, the old powers of the Galactic Council stood firm, unwilling to let humanity change the balance they had carefully built. On the other, humanity stood ready to push forward, determined to make their mark on the stars. Whatever happened next, the galaxy would never be the same. The stage was set, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. The galaxy was in a state of unrest. The Galactic Council had spent centuries controlling the flow of power, technology, and knowledge. They had worked to keep their dominance unchallenged, but humanity's rise had changed everything. No one could deny the incredible achievement of Eclipse and the bold statement made by Earth's president, Drayden. Humanity's refusal to be silenced had ignited a fire, and it spread quickly. The diplomatic channels were failing. Humanity had made it clear that they would not back down, and their message resonated with many species. There were factions who had long suffered under the Council's rule, those who were denied their freedom, their resources, and their voices. Now, they saw an opportunity. They saw humanity as a beacon of hope, someone who could lead them toward a galaxy where they would no longer be oppressed. But the Council was not about to let this rebellion go unchallenged. The leaders of the various species, from the powerful Gentheri to the technologically advanced Andromed, were all too aware of the risks posed by this rising force. The message from President Drayden had been received with anger, fear, and a determination to stop humanity before they became too powerful. It was clear that the Council could not let this challenge stand. They were not prepared to lose their grip on the galaxy. Behind closed doors, the Council had already begun making preparations for war. Secret military meetings were held, and plans to counter humanity's technology were set in motion. The Eclipse ships would not be enough to defeat them, but the Council had their own powerful fleets, advanced weapons, and countless resources. If humanity was not brought under control now, the consequences would be catastrophic for everyone. While the Council plotted in secret, on Earth, President Drayden and his advisors knew that war could be the only outcome. The human response to the Council's demands had been one of defiance, but the reality of conflict had started to sink in. Earth had made incredible technological strides, but the galaxy was filled with powerful enemies. Humanity's starships, though faster and more advanced than anything the Council had seen, could not win a war on their own. It was then that a surprising alliance began to form. Several species who had long been oppressed by the Council reached out to Earth, offering their support. These species had seen the power of Eclipse, and they had seen something else: hope. The Council had ruled through fear and domination for far too long, and now the oppressed races were ready to fight for their freedom. They sought humanity's technology, knowledge, and leadership, hoping that together they could stand up to the tyranny of the Galactic Council. Among those species was the Yalaran, a race of telepathic beings who had been systematically marginalized by the Council for centuries. Their cities were controlled by Council forces, their minds manipulated for the Council's gain. The Yalarin were eager to break free. They had heard President Drayden's message and saw humanity as the key to their freedom. In secret meetings, the Yalarin began to forge an alliance with Earth. "They are our chance," Yalara, the leader of the Yalarin, said to President Drayden. "The Council cannot control us forever. We will fight, and we will stand with you." Drayden's response was measured, knowing the risks involved. "We cannot go into this lightly. We are outnumbered, outgunned, and untested in galactic warfare. But we cannot turn back now. If we want to change this galaxy, we must lead with strength and courage." In the coming weeks, other species joined the growing coalition. Some were skilled in advanced technologies, while others had military experience that could prove invaluable. Earth's scientists and engineers worked around the clock to enhance Eclipse and its sister ships, preparing them for what was to come. Every day, the stakes grew higher as the Council took a more aggressive stance. But the Council wasn't waiting around either. They had their own spies, watching for any sign of rebellion, any crack in their control. Reports from all across the galaxy warned of increasing signs of unrest, strikes, protests, and small-scale attacks against Council installations. The message was clear. The galaxy was changing, and the Council's iron grip was slipping. Sarnak, the Andromed leader, called for immediate action. "The time for diplomacy is over. Humanity's defiance cannot go unanswered. We will strike first." His proposal was met with reluctant agreement from most of the Council. Despite the warnings of Elysia and other more cautious members, it was clear that the majority of the Council's leadership was ready to fight. They were determined to crush the rebellion before it could grow too strong. Their fleet was mobilizing, and they would attack Earth's allies and their growing coalition. They would make an example of them. On Earth, the feeling of impending war hung heavy in the air. The citizens were divided. Some feared the consequences of challenging the Council, while others were ready for the fight. They had always fought to survive on their home planet. Now, they were fighting for something much greater, the chance to reshape the galaxy. The human fleet was growing stronger by the day, with Eclipse and its sister ships preparing to carry humanity's flag into uncharted space. Each ship was equipped with the latest technology, and humanity's finest pilots were ready for whatever would come. They knew they would face overwhelming odds, but they also knew this was their moment. This was their time to prove they belonged among the stars. The Council's fleet, a massive force of warships, cruisers, and dreadnoughts, was ready to launch an offensive. Soon, the galaxy would be plunged into chaos. Earth's small but determined resistance would stand against the full might of the Council. But as the war drums began to beat, one thing was certain: the fight for the future of the galaxy had just begun. In the heart of Earth's fleet, a single word echoed through every command room, every officer, and every soldier: victory. Humanity had chosen its path, and now there was no turning back. The galaxy would either bend to their will, or it would burn in the fires of war. The first shot was fired from the Council's fleet, a cold and calculated strike aimed at Earth's closest ally, the Yalarin homeworld. The message was clear: resistance would not be tolerated. The Council believed that if they could crush the Yalarin quickly, they could force other rebellious factions to submit, and humanity's growing alliance would crumble before it had the chance to build any real power. But what the Council didn't realize was that they had underestimated the unity forming among the oppressed races, and humanity's role as the spark that ignited the flame. The Yalarin, despite being outgunned, fought back with everything they had, using their advanced telepathic abilities to confuse and disorient the Council's forces. Their resistance was fierce, and word of their bravery quickly spread throughout the galaxy, rallying more allies to humanity's cause. Back on Earth, President Drayden stood at the command center, watching as the situation on the Yalarin homeworld unfolded. He knew that their actions could have grave consequences for all involved, but he also knew there was no turning back. The time for diplomacy had passed. The Council had forced their hand. If they didn't fight back now, the galaxy would never change. Humanity's destiny would be decided in the fire of this war. "Prepare the fleet," Drayden ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We're not going to let them destroy our allies." Earth's fleet, led by the powerful Eclipse Io and its sister ships, had been preparing for this moment for weeks. The human ships, though fewer in number, were faster and more agile than the Council's massive warships. Humanity's advantage was in speed and strategy, and Drayden intended to use it to their fullest advantage. The fleet set course for the Yalaran homeworld, ready to engage the Council's forces in what would surely be a decisive battle. The ship's engines hummed with power as Earth's fleet joined the Yalaran in orbit, ready to fight. Meanwhile, the Council's forces, massive and intimidating, closed in on their targets, the Gentheri dreadnoughts, each capable of unleashing devastating blasts of energy, advanced with purpose. But even as they approached, they began to encounter unexpected resistance. Humanity's ships, though smaller, darted through the asteroid fields and nebulas with precision, avoiding the incoming fire while launching their own strikes. On the Eclipse Ua, Captain Sarah Hayes, one of Earth's most decorated pilots, took command. She was no stranger to battle. But this was different. This wasn't just a mission to defend Earth's borders. It was a fight for the future of the galaxy. With the Yalaran fighting alongside them, she knew the battle would be hard, but it was a battle they could win. "Hold your positions," Captain Hayes called out to her crew. "We need to break their formation before they can unleash their full firepower." The Eclipse Eye rocketed forward, dodging incoming fire, its advanced shields flaring with each hit. The human fleet used their smaller, more nimble ships to draw the Council's forces into a trap, luring them into the most dangerous parts of the battle zone. The asteroid fields, where their larger ships struggled to navigate. It was a risky move, but it was the only way to even the odds. As the battle raged on, President Drayden watched from Earth's command center, his eyes fixed on the live feed from the front lines. He knew this was only the beginning. Every victory would come at a cost, but they had no other choice but to press forward. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had to show them that they were not to be underestimated. Back in the heart of the Council, panic was beginning to set in. The initial confidence that the Council had displayed when they launched their attack had begun to crumble as the human fleet, aided by their new allies, turned the tide. Sarnak, the Andromed leader, was pacing angrily in the Council's war room. "This is unacceptable," Sarnak snarled. "How are they defeating us? We should have crushed them by now. We underestimated them." Salira, the Queen of the Andromed, said coldly. "They're using tactics we didn't expect. They're quicker, smarter, and more determined than we gave them credit for." "What now?" Sarnak asked, his voice dripping with frustration. "We retreat for now," Salira replied. "But we will not let this rebellion spread. We will regroup, and when the time comes, we will finish this war." While the Council struggled to regroup, the battle on the Yalaran homeworld grew more intense. The Yalaran's telepathic abilities, combined with humanity's technological superiority, were proving to be a dangerous combination. The Council's forces, disoriented by the telepathic onslaught, struggled to maintain order as the rebels pressed their attack. On Earth, the news of their victory began to spread. Humanity had succeeded in turning the tide on their first major battle. The Council, usually so unshakable, was showing cracks. The people of Earth felt a surge of pride, knowing they had stood up to the galaxy's most powerful forces and won. The message was clear: humanity was not to be ignored. However, President Drayden knew that this victory, while important, was only a small part of the larger struggle. The Council would regroup, and the war would continue. There would be more battles, more sacrifices, and more challenges ahead. But for the first time in history, humanity had shown that they could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's giants. The war for the future of the galaxy was just beginning, and humanity, though young and untested, had proven that they had the strength, the courage, and the will to fight for a better future. Now the question was, would the galaxy be ready to accept them, or would they be crushed by the weight of the Council's power? As the battle raged on, it became clear that humanity was not just a bystander in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they were ready to fight for their place among the stars. The galaxy had never witnessed anything like it. Humanity, once thought to be a young and fragile species, had proven themselves as formidable warriors. The battle for the Yalaran homeworld had shifted the balance of power, and with each passing day, the rebellion grew stronger. The galaxy watched as humanity and its allies began to break the hold of the Galactic Council, one victory at a time. After the initial skirmishes, the war had reached a dangerous tipping point. The Council, once unchallenged, now found themselves forced to defend their crumbling authority. With each battle they lost, more star systems rebelled. The power they had taken for granted was slipping away. However, the Council was not ready to surrender. They would fight to the end, even if it meant destroying entire worlds. Back on Earth, President Drayden and his council of military leaders, scientists, and diplomats sat in the command center, eyes fixed on the war reports coming in from across the galaxy. The war was escalating, but they were holding their ground. "We've held them off on the Yalaran front," President Drayden said, scanning the data. "But we can't afford to slow down. The Council will rally. We need to push forward." General Halden, who had been leading Earth's military forces, agreed. "Our fleet is ready. We've got the momentum. But we need to take advantage of it before the Council regroups. We can't give them a chance to recover." Drayden nodded. It was clear that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Every decision, every action would matter. With the Eclipse and its fleet leading the charge, humanity's forces had now taken the fight directly to the heart of the Galactic Council. The Council's capital, an enormous space station surrounded by countless defense fleets, loomed on the horizon. It was humanity's greatest challenge yet, but they knew that if they could strike at the heart of the Council, they could end this war once and for all. The human fleet, now bolstered by their growing coalition of rebels, gathered their forces. Ships from the Yalaran, the Kanari, and the Zevra joined their ranks, creating a powerful united front. The strategy was simple: strike swiftly, take control of the Council's central command, and prevent them from organizing another counterattack. On the front lines, Captain Sarah Hayes stood at the helm of the Eclipse. She had become a symbol of humanity's bravery, leading her crew with unwavering determination. Her mind raced as she reviewed the plan once more. "We've trained for this," she said to her officers. "We know the stakes. This is where we make our stand." The Eclipse I entered the outer orbit of the Council's capital. The station loomed large ahead, a massive structure of metal and energy that had long been a symbol of the Council's dominance. But this time, it was different. This time, it was not just one fleet ready to fight. It was an entire galaxy of forces, united under a single cause. "Prepare for battle," Captain Hayes ordered. "We're going in." The battle for the Council's capital began with a coordinated strike from all sides. The human fleet, along with their allies, hit the station from multiple angles, exploiting its weak points and using their agility to stay ahead of the heavier enemy forces. Despite the overwhelming size of the Council's defenses, humanity's ships, built for speed and maneuverability, dodged and struck with precision. The Council's forces retaliated fiercely, but the unity among the rebels was unstoppable. Each successful strike against the station's defense systems weakened their hold on the station. As the battle raged on, it was clear that the tides of war had turned in humanity's favor. On the surface of the station, the Council's leaders scrambled to maintain control. Sarnak, the Andromid leader, watched the chaos unfold from his command room. "This cannot be happening," he muttered, as another wave of rebel ships tore through the station's defense grid. Elysia, the Virilian representative, stood beside him, her expression grim. "The Council is losing. The rebellion is too strong. It's time we end this, once and for all." Sarnak turned to her. You think they will let us go? After everything we've done? No, Alicia replied, her voice steady. But they will have to listen to us. Humanity has proven they are a force to be reckoned with. We have no choice but to negotiate a new future. As the final battles unfolded in the station's control center, it became clear that the Council was no longer in control. The leadership had fractured, and those who had once held power began to realize that the old ways were over. Humanity and their allies had won. The Council was falling. Back on Earth, President Drayden watched the live feed from the battlefield. His heart pounded in his chest as the news of their victory spread. The war was over. The galaxy had been changed forever. The Galactic Council, which had ruled for millennia, was no more. The galaxy was now in the hands of the people. And at the center of it all stood humanity, a species that had fought for their place in the stars and won. In the weeks that followed, the remnants of the Council were disbanded. A new government was formed, one based on democracy, unity, and cooperation among the many races of the galaxy. Humanity, once an outsider in the vast universe, had become the central force in the galaxy's future. As President Drayden looked out over the horizon, he knew that this was only the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, but humanity had shown that they could rise to meet them. They had fought for their place in the galaxy, and now they would work to build a future of peace and prosperity for all. The stars no longer belonged to the powerful few. They belonged to everyone. The galaxy, for the first time in history, was free, and humanity had earned their place at the heart of it.